this one. Thing. All right, yeah, now people can actually hear me. Well, at least the recording will hear me. All right, yeah. So you found the cloud giant Zephyros in his tower. However, he was being sort of interrogated, like he was held captive and being interrogated by some stone giants, a number of tribes of folk from the Uthgard tribe, and a figure that Alco recognized as an old sort of like enemy of his, Rengar Bearheart. You guys were talking with him, perhaps trying to figure out some way that you could come to an agreement for the cloud giant to be released and everyone could go their separate ways. And it seemed as though he was amenable to that when, in a 2000 IQ Galaxy Brain play, Sir Elamir and Lucas decided that the best course of action was to just attack. And so Lucas let loose an arrow, and all hell broke loose as Rengar Bearheart sort of transformed into this like half man, half bear, and just wrecked everything. However, it would seem for whatever reason that he had no interest in actually killing all of you, and specifically called out to leave you all alive. And so when inevitably you all fell. You all awoke later in the ground floor of Zephyros's tower, and he basically explained that you had been sort of like left there, and he had gathered you up as soon as he had broken free from his sort of like catatonic state, and after that, he made mention basically that the hill giant that you were following probably didn't know where home was, but he had seen a tower to the north somewhere on the other side of the mountain range, which he had seen a hill giant within, and so figured that was probably a good direction to go check. You spent some days trekking around the mountain before you yourself found the tower, and indeed it was occupied by another hill giant, this one a female. There was some discussion with the hill giant, and eventually she claimed your guide for her own, and basically pointed you in the general direction of where Grudhaug was, but wasn't really interested in going with you or allowing Lob to continue going with you either. And so you left them behind, heading back to the main road. At this point, you have all been sort of wandering the wilderness for quite some time, and you figured now was a good time to maybe take a break, stop at a place of civilization, and just sort of like collect yourselves before charging into the stronghold of the giants. And so you traveled down the road before arriving at the small village of Wamford, where the locals, it was kind of like getting late at night. The locals warned you against staying out late at night. There was some beast known as the Wamford Bat that roamed around, kidnapping travelers that kind of wandered in the night. Many people had like disappeared, never to return again. But you decided that such a thing was not really any concern of yours, probably just a fairy tale, and headed off across this sort of like long and narrow, rickety wooden bridge to the Barge Wright Inn, which is a settlement built around a large inn on the other side of the river from Wamford. However, when you arrived there, you found that the outer walls were closed. They had offered to sort of like ferry you over for a modest sum of gold. However, you, being adventurers, didn't want to pay anything, thought it was stupid, and so decided to camp outside the walls. At which point, during the night, a heavy fog set in, and one of your companions, Xeric, noticed something strange out in the fog and decided the best course of action was to go investigate. And so he and Lucas sort of came up with this scheme to sort of tie a rope around him just in case someone tried to like grab him and yank him away. And he walked out into the fog, whereupon he was charmed by this sort of strange vampire whose face he couldn't really like see or recognize, and it drank his blood and kind of like wandered off for a bit because the charm had sort of snapped off, and it was not in the mood to deal with somebody screaming for help. So the rest of the night passed uneventfully, and I believe last we left off, you guys had proceeded back to the main entrance of the Barge Right Inn. The gates are now open, and the guards let you through, making some sort of snide comment about how you guys stayed overnight and were probably all eaten. Yes, so now you can see the town, the Barge Right Inn now in front of you. You see the guards that are sort of like stationed there. They're dressed a little bit differently from guards you would see typically. Like normally guards are wearing sort of like chainmail kind of armor. These guards have sort of like black leather armor, and they all have these like black sort of like bands around their upper arm, with this you can't see like a symbol on it. It's just like like a black band. But they sort of like eye you kind of suspiciously as you enter into the town, and you see up ahead that there's a second sort of like wall, further up, where you can see like a number of the buildings are made. However, in this sort of like inner area between the two walls, directly in front of the gate, you see this sort of collection of open top carts, people who have set up sort of like cloth stalls and likes. It seems like this sort of like ramshackle looking marketplace that is not quite like fully open and like busy first thing in the morning, but you can see people like setting up shop and the likes. And I believe that I have something of like a picture or something to perhaps show you, uh, just to set the scene. Here you go, sort of like this. It is a picture. Yes, it is the place that you're in. Um, Yeah, so you can see that there is sort of like another inner wall where many of the buildings are nestled. However, as you enter, like I said, there is sort of like this marketplace area, and I know basically like your plan was to perhaps like get a room at the inn and just kind of like stay the day, just so you can get a long rest before heading out once more to try to track down the hill giants. So as you kind of like make your way through the town, there's no like there's guards at the inner gate, but there's not actually like as far as you can tell, there's no like doors or anything. It's just open. Uh, and then you walk into the down the main, the sort of like thoroughfare, passing a number of interesting looking sort of like shops and other residences. But you head right up to the inn. Heading inside, you can see it is a even though it's kind of like first thing in the morning, it's actually like pretty packed in the common room, sort of like the tap room area of this like inn slash tavern. There is standing at the bar, this sort of maybe like middle-aged looking male half elf, who's currently doing what all good barkeeps do and just polishing a glass over and over in an idle animation loop. Um, but you also see that there are a number of tables scattered around. It looks like 8 tables in total, of which only 2 appear to be unoccupied at the moment. Several tables have a number of individuals on them. There is one that is completely empty, and then there is another one in the far corner of the room that kind of strikes you as odd as you're looking around, because it's empty. There's nobody sitting there, but there are table settings like set out, like incredibly fancy looking dinner plates, with glasses of what appears to be like red wine and fine cutlery sort of like set out, but there is nobody sitting there at the moment. But as you walk in, everybody in the room just sort of like looks in your direction, as if sort of like sizing you up. Hmm. All right. Yeah. So you walk over to the unoccupied table, and after a few moments, this barmaid sort of like walks over, and she says, "Travelers on the road, are you? Strange arriving awful early in the morning. Pray you didn't stay overnight outside." And she said, "Oh, and you live to tell the tale. Well, now that's something else." No. Um, yeah, so she sort of like looks around and says, well, is there anything I could get for you? She says, all right then. Um, let's see, we've got some porridge we can get you. Kind of looks around. She says, a silver each. Comes with some breakfast wine. Yeah, so everybody like pays pays for the meal. Um, and Electro. And everybody pays for the meals. A few moments go by, and the meals arrive. It's like basically like the bare minimum requirement to be like edible, edible food. Essentially, not the best thing that you've ever had, but it's better than nothing, and it's better than Trago rations. That's for sure. Um, so he's, um, I would say probably not Lucas. You can make a history check if you'd like. Yep. This is not a matter of it's not a matter of intelligence level. It's a matter of whether you would know. No. So yeah. So you don't. As Alexei is kind of like musing about this. You don't really know anything special yourself, Lucas. You haven't really like. You don't pay much attention to these sort of like outskirts, sort of like settlements. So you're not exactly sure what's going on here. It definitely like strikes you as kind of odd because they are dressed like thugs and criminals rather than like an actual like guard force or whatever. But they're like none of what they were like wearing or anything like lights any bulbs for you or anything in that regard. She's like putting the last bowl down. She says, well, I mean, what's there to tell, really? People go out at night, travelers along the road, go missing. Sometimes they find them drained of their blood, lying in the ditch somewhere. Sometimes they don't find them at all. She shakes her head. Nobody's seen it and lived. And he says, no, I don't know. It's just what they call it, Like, I don't ask questions. And he says, because there's no reason to. We're safe behind the walls. Why would we venture out to kill some beastie that's plaguing travelers on the road? Doesn't concern us none. And he says, oh, for sure it does, but the ones that need to get here are always sure to. And she just sort of shrugs. Not as far as I'm aware. Um, She just sort of like finishes setting down the last glass, pulling the tray sort of like closer to her chest, and she's like, "I'm not really sure what you mean. They've always looked that way. So you saying gods elsewhere look different? Well, maybe they just like to dress differently." Um, she, she sort of like looks around. She says, and she kind of like leans in closer. She's like, "Listen, you're really not safe asking these sorts of questions. I would stop if I were you." And she like backs away. She sort of like backs away, moving off to like another table. And you notice, I think Elamir, you notice kind of this whole time you've been keeping like an eye out. This whole time there's one of the other tables. It's not really too far away from you, maybe like a table or two over. There is a group of what appear to be like six individuals that are basically like they're this odd looking group of ruffians. That is dressed sort of like in armor, wearing weapons, very sort of like adventuring style. But they have this similar to the guards. They have this like black band around their upper arm, but this one has a symbol sort of like on the outside of it, and it looks like this sort of like bloody red fist that is like grasping a snake. And they sort of like you notice them kind of like glancing in your direction every so often as you were talking to this barmaid. But as soon as she like walks away, they go back to what they were doing. I don't think any of you would have the background or knowledge to know recognize what this is without like trying to study it. That's definitely not how that works. um, I think vampires are a common enough like knowledge thing that anyone would know that's not how that works. They have to actually they have to actually kill somebody with their bite for them to like come back as a spawn. All right, yeah. So you sort of like spend the rest of the morning kind of like keeping an eye out as everybody's like finishing their meals and whatnot. About like halfway through, as you guys are eating, this rather like raucous couple of individuals sort of like wander down from upstairs, joining like another person at a table. You can see there's these like two sort of like towering towering figures. Um, and they're sort of like wearing kind of like leather outfits, like animal furs and the likes. And they are just they begin like shouting like raucously. At which point it becomes hard to like keep track of kind of like what's going on about you, as like their shouts can be heard over the rest of the sort of like normal din of the tap room. And they kind of like begin just everybody like looks in their direction like shooting glares, but if they notice they don't stop what they're doing, and they're just having this like loud drinking contest, it looks like in the early morning. Yeah, let's just not have a campaign. uh, there were a number of like businesses that looked like as you were that were opening as you were coming up to the inn. um Do you guys want to purchase rooms for the night, or are you just gonna wait till later? I don't think you can. No, because telekinesis is like way above your capability to cast. Well, you have the pearl for identify, and you probably have the diamond for chromatic orb. I don't know. Yeah, so you walk over to the man behind the bar. He kind of like looks up at you, just sort of like giving you kind of like the side eye. He doesn't like he's like looking at you, like obviously acknowledging you, but kind of keeps focusing on what he's doing. And he's like, yeah, something I can help you with. um, he sort of like he sort of like nods and says, all right then, 3 gold, one for each room. And he kind of like reaches under the table as if like grasping for something. All right, so yeah, he quickly snatches up the gold and deposits 3 keys onto the counter. Oh shit. Um, yeah, each key has sort of like a little number kind of like tied to it. Of course, yeah, because there's that many rooms at this inn. But one of them is just labeled 69 for reasons. And he sort of says, "Those rooms are on the third floor. Just take the tower up. You'll find it." It's a huge fucking inn. They would have to be very fucking small rooms. Yeah, if you look at the picture, like that building in the back with the two towers, that's the inn itself. Like it's like yeah, big. All right. Yeah, rather like simple trappings, nothing like special. But they're like pretty well kept, pretty well furnished as far as that is concerned. No complaints on that end. All right. Yeah. So rather than kind of like uh, spend forever on this, you guys can basically find any like basic adventuring supplies or anything out in the marketplace. Um, However, the prices that are quoted to you are 10% like higher than normal. It's a little bit more expensive here. So it's on the data venturing item table, so you can definitely find it. Obviously, it would be 55 gold instead of the normal like 50, but yeah, you can purchase a few. They probably don't have like an unlimited stock. Let me see here. Yeah. Yeah. So you can buy one. Yeah. Okay. So that'll be 110 gold total, or one platinum, and or 11 platinum. It'd be 11 platinum. Anybody else want to purchase anything? How are your like supply like rations and stuff like? I guess it doesn't really matter. Zero can sure. Everybody mark off like we'll say like 10 gold or whatever. That'll cover you for a while. How can you Chuck? But yeah, I mean, unless there's anything like specific that you guys want to like go out and do, I think we can pretty much just like safely fast forward through the night and into the next morning. Okay. Um, yeah, so you spend like a few hours or whatever, just like kind of like patrolling the place, like looking around for anything that seems weird to you. I mean, beyond what you've already kind of like noticed, nothing like there isn't like any sort of like weird back alley dealings that you stumble into or anything like that. You don't see guards like extorting people or like beating them up in like side streets or anything like that. It seems like at least inside here, seems like a normal sort of like everyday kind of like town. There's just this sort of like there's definitely this like feeling that kind of like falls over it as you're like walking. Everybody seems to kind of be like, you know, most towns people are like kind of like friendly and they like talk to each other and you know they'll like greet you as you pass by. Here it seems very like head down. Everybody's like focused on what they're doing. Nobody's like stopping and talking in the middle of the road. You know, people are like barely paying attention to where they're going, and just kind of like shutting out the world around them. So there's definitely this sort of like atmosphere over the place. It's definitely a lot different than Waterdeep. Just try to kidnap somebody and torture them. Yeah. But yeah, as you're walking around, like you do occasionally notice like sideward glances from guards that are sort of like stationed outside of certain buildings and the likes, as if sort of like they're always like keeping an eye on anyone they don't recognize.
What are
I
the
don't know.
guards doing that are keeping people so timid and, well, fearful? I mean, the
I
barmaid
don't.
literally told us not to ask questions.
I mean,
I don't
go
know
ask
much
some
about this
questions
place.
if you want to know.
But you told me not to.
Do you always do what you're told?
No. Okay, come with me.
Sure.
I'll come with you as well.
I ain't asking the questions though.
Yep.
That's okay.
Let's go. Let's go, Briork.
Oh yeah, yes, Briork, you are a valuable member of this team. We have not forgotten about you.
Says well,
Why do you keep saying that?
personally, I think it's a dumb idea, but what do I care?
I stole from my teammate. I'm a dummy.
You think
You
lots
know
of
what?
things are dumb ideas, and a
No.
lot of them have
That's
worked
because
out
you
well.
come up with a lot of dumb ideas, Alexei.
Alright, I like you, Briork. No, you know what? You're kind of right. As we are the not our business, not our problem Crusaders.
Well, I mean,
We don't need to immerse ourselves in this.
isn't it like sort of our moral prerogative though to make sure that the people of this land are safe and happy?
Well,
Do we have those?
they obviously are. Who cares about the happy part?
Says yeah, he looks around. He's like, seems pretty safe to me. Not one but two walls blocking out the rest of the world. Sure, there's
Indeed.
terrible things on the other side that I'd like to forget, but
Well, I mean,
I just don't think it's
It's
any
a
of
well-
our business sticking our nose into politics, as it were.
Yeah,
Yes,
you are
you're
correct.
right. But some of us, not over at Alamir, are curious. You know, the adventurer's disease.
and I
Yeah,
must say,
but
it does. Well, I must say, it does concern myself as well. Just, I mean, I understand the walls keep the dangers out, but I'm very fearful that it might just keep the people trapped in here.
I have to change my mind and agree with Reorg.
What do you want?
Are we in the middle of the inn? Or like, where are we?
I assume
No,
you're
we're
kinda,
standing
like,
in front of one of the
outside
guards,
somewhere,
talking
yeah.
loudly.
Yeah,
That's what I
talking
was saying. Is there
loudly
a
about
guard nearby? 'Cause if
conspiring
so,
in
I'll
front
get
of
up
all the
and ask him,
guards.
like, so,
Should
what's up
we
with this town?
topple this
What can
place
you
to
tell me about it?
You walk up to one of the guards.
Yeah, I was like, what can you tell me about this town? We're new
I'll
here,
go
and we're
with
just
him.
looking to know what we can about it.
He sort of like looks down at you, and he says,
Oh, is he taller than me?
"Yeah, I mean, most of the people here are probably like, you know,
13 feet.
yeah, 13 feet tall.
We
They're all
found
giants.
Groudon!
They're giants all the time, this whole time."
Are you giants in disguise?
He sort of like looks at you, and he's just like he says, "Well, I think people like you that ask questions should sod off. That's what you need to know about this town." He says, "Listen, you cause no trouble here. There'll be no trouble for you."
Mm. And why would there be trouble if we're just asking questions?
And he says, "Because questions cause trouble. Especially when they're asking questions they shouldn't."
Is there a tourism board on this town I can talk to?
The fuck is that?
What the fuck is tourism?
What about a local museum?
Like, I'm 99% sure that, like, if I pull down my eye and try to intimidate this man, like, it's done.
Okay, yeah. I hope you mean pull down your eye patch, otherwise that would be gross.
Yeah.
Pull down your eye.
Pulled out his eye to intimidate a man.
Throw it at him.
And he just sort of says, "Look here. We're just a collection of merchants trying to make a living. We don't want no trouble. We don't want to cause no trouble."
And we don't want to cause any trouble for you either. We're just curious.
Insight.
Are they Centaur?
Sure, roll an insight check.
Thor's gonna come back, and we're gonna be like, this town's gonna be on fire.
So with a 10, you can't really like tell if he's like lying or not, but you definitely like notice like he's not being subtle at all about the like veiled like threat of like fuck off. Like seriously.
Not our problem, Crusaders.
Fair enough. Was a good chat with you, Mr. Guardsman. What's your name, by the way?
And he says, "What's it matter to you? You're leaving this town anyways."
It was good to meet you. What's the matter to you? You're leaving this town anyways?
A funny guy, huh?
I love this place. You know what? I changed my mind. I love this place.
Okay,
What the-
hey, Mr. Guardsman, we're staying here now. We're leaving now.
Yeah, what's the cost to live here? Like, what's the
We can
average
all-
cost to live here?
Here's what we'll do. We'll all pool our money together and we'll buy a shop.
Yeah,
and
we'll all
then
go
we'll-
like thirds on it.
Yeah, and then we'll
And-
just run that shop.
He just sort of like looks at you all, and he's just like says, "There's some paddocks for rent. I think those would suit you just fine."
It's not nice.
All right.
Alright, we
let's
leave
just get our
this poor man alone.
Uh-huh. We subject him to ourselves for too long.
Yeah.
We move to the next guard.
Yep.
All right, if
We're
you're
the
done,
antagonizing people,
if you're
Crusaders.
done harassing the locals.
Yep.
Yep.
You know what? I
Uh,
think it's time to use this alchemy jug as the way God intended and get a gallon of wine. Or 4 gallons of beer.
Let's go get drunk in the inn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just go to the inn and conjure myself a bunch of free wine and beer. That definitely won't make it mad.
We'll just tell the lady that if she has a problem with it, we'll talk to the guards.
I love that. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Anyway.
anyways, you guys return to the inn, spend the night, and the night passes uneventfully, and you all wake up the next morning, and you have finished your long rest.
Dying.
Why?
No, like, did horse heads in our, like...
Huh?
Actually, I put one in Alexei's bed.
Oh,
Aye,
nice.
of course.
Good job.
What did you put?
And I
in
put
what?
the other part of the horse in your bed. It's Bella.
Man, I don't even know where she's at.
Oh,
In your bed.
somewhere.
No. I think I
Is
left her
Bella
in a
dead?
town somewhere. I left her in a town somewhere when we teleported her or some bullshit.
Have you just lost Bella?
I'm pretty sure the Harpers have her.
I think
Oh,
he's
yeah.
in Neverwinter, last I remember.
Yeah.
Oh well. Um,
Good thing, Alamir found her.
no. Oh yeah, sure. I stitched the head back on the body. Here's your Bella back. All right. I guess we'll have another breakfast.
Breakfast the second.
Yep.
Sure. This one.
Is it the same barmaid?
Well, I mean, there's not an infinite supply, so yes. This one, however, breakfast is included with the rooms, so
Cool.
no additional charge.
Excellent.
Is it still? Is it also? Is it full? Again, like a lot of people.
I'm just.
Yeah, you see a lot of the same people that were there the previous day. That table full of what look like adventurers is still there, sort of like talking. You can see the table where it was like set for somebody is cleared off. There's nobody there, but there's like a sign on the table that just says like reserved. There's a couple of other like empty tables, and then you notice there's one table where there's a couple of new folks you don't recognize. They look, maybe they just arrived recently or the likes. There's a table. There's a couple of people sitting there. One of them, one of which is this sort of like massive, sort of like furry bugbear that is like wearing like armor and just kind of like looking around the room. He's got like an eye patch over one eye, this like big nasty scar down the center of his face, and he is sitting across from a man, like what looks like a human man, dressed in like this sort of like full kind of like plate mail armor with this kind of like strange looking sort of like visored helmet almost. And they're sort of like talking back and forth. And Alexei, you sort of like thinking back, recognize the man in the armor.
What?
From a long, long time ago, as a mercenary who was once coming for Cecil's head.
Oh, the fuck
Oh my god.
Is it Boba Fett?
It is. Where is the picture?
I forget where I shoved it. I might have archived it.
Yeah, I think you must have, because it's not there. It's not anywhere.
But yes, you recognize the bounty hunter, Lormond. There he is.
Ormond. If only Al Quill was here, because he's the only other person that would remember him.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else like recognizes him. But yeah, that's what he.
What's he doing so far, South? I'm just saying this a little loud, by the way, so you guys could hear me.
Who?
Lormond. He was a sellsword bounty hunter. He pursued ourselves and one of our original companions, Cecil, up north all those years ago. Didn't
So you're
catch
wanted
him.
by bounty hunters?
Well, I mean, I'm just wondering what he's doing so far south.
You go ask him.
No, I don't know about that.
Do you want me
Quite
to?
No, it's fine. We don't need
Good.
to ask him
I
anything.
wasn't going to.
Okay, good.
But yeah, he
So-
is sitting at the table with this like bugbear, and they appear to be like talking back and forth.
One thing we
Oh
could
my
do-
god.
See those adventuring looking guys over there? The ones I'm assuming the ones with the tattoos.
They don't have tattoos, but they have these sort of like bands around their upper arm.
Okay, they're bands, not tattoos. Yeah. Perhaps we could ask them for some assistance about what's going on around, not with the town, but like around town. See if they know anything about giants anywhere. Help point us in the direction of Groodhog.
I suppose that's a good idea. And then Alexia look at Lorm and say, and again, Lormond is also a bounty hunter. He might have some idea too.
Then we can ask both.
I hope
If
he
they
doesn't
do
like
that, I will. Is there a table like far away from other people or further away from other people?
Like being nowhere near us is what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, you can find a table that's like as far away from other like occupied tables as possible, which is not very far, but far enough.
Yeah, and I want to like try to get the attention of that the same barmaid again, or tavern wench.
Talon
That's
wench.
offensive. Yeah, she's you get her attention. She's sort of like, walks over. It's like, what do you need? Can I get for you?
I'll take You have eggs.
She sort of like nods and says, how'd you like them?
Sunny side up.
Sort of like nods and says,
And I'll look around like in a hushed voice. What do you mean by not asking questions?
Blink twice if you're in danger.
she just sort of
From
like,
from
she's
yesterday.
I thought it was self-explanatory.
Yes, what's going to happen if you ask questions?
And she says, well, you start asking the wrong sorts of questions and you'll find yourself disappearing.
By whom?
And she just sort of like shakes her head. Like, I don't know. All I know is people that ask questions go missing in the night.
Who are these guards? What are they? What
She
the
says,
hell's going on here?
you think a
we're getting
lowly
pulled into this.
lowly barmaid like me would know these sorts of things? I just do what I'm told and work my day's wage.
Who tells you to do things? To do what you're told?
She just sort of says, my boss, the one who owns this tavern? Like,
Are you stupid?
do things work differently where you're from?
So
I'm
I
technically my
just don't
boss.
understand who's enforcing these fears of yours.
She's like, there's nobody that I know except all the people that fucking go missing.
And you people don't ask any questions about that. You just
Yeah, this
Greg
is,
got-
ask
Greg went
questions
missing.
about all the missing
Oh,
people,
well.
so we fucking go missing ourselves.
Oh, it's starting to get loud.
It's
All right,
just
well.
like, listen, I don't want to get in trouble, so enjoy yourselves. The eggs will be out in a minute.
Oh, Greg's going missing.
Maybe we should stay another night. Wake up in the morning, barmaid is gone.
Well, you keep living this perfect life of yours then.
I love you, Mike. I like how you get angry at them for like being helpless.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that's so great.
if they don't want help, sure.
Don't worry, we're gonna help them. We've
No.
broken now.
The
No, that got loud.
not our problem
Broken.
Crusaders will not do that.
Oh. Anyway, so yeah, I guess what was it? I was gonna speak to Lorman and Lucas was gonna go speak to those sellswords.
Okay. Who would like to go first then?
I don't even know.
Alexa can.
All right,
Okay, I'll speak to Lorman first.
Yeah, so you see him like
Is that the
sitting
music
there,
that plays?
sitting there. Yeah, it's weird. As soon as you like get close to him, it starts like this weird, like otherworldly. Yeah. I mean, you walk up to you can see the bugbear is sort of like just kind of like grunting and like making these like sort of like guttural noises. Norman's just kind of like nodding and responding and like
Yep.
But he's you can't understand what he's like saying. He's speaking some other language that you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Alexei will sort of approach me like, Lormand?
Yeah. So he says, "Who's there? What do you want? I'm busy."
Put your
I
hand
was
over
wondering
your
if you could
mouth and
ask.
start talking like him.
Yeah, I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions. If you got some time.
That depends. How much money you got?
And I guess she'll like fumble for a coin first. About like 60 gold,
Oh
roughly.
my god.
That'd be 6 minutes.
Says, and what sort of questions do you have?
And she'll say it's like, well, sort of about the surrounding area. And me and my companions were looking into giants. And you probably don't remember me, but we have a little bit of a history.
And he's sort of like, at this point, like he hasn't been like looking at you this whole time. And he sort of like turns towards you, and there's like a moment like of kind of like a pause, and he says, it's like, oh, I recognize you. You were with that Cecil, weren't you?
Yes, well, he had that bounty on his head, but it was promptly rescinded, thankfully.
Unfortunately.
Nervous laughter.
Wasted a
But,
lot of goddamn
yes.
time tracking you and your friends down.
So sorry about that. Anyway, so yes, me and my friends are looking into the giants nearby, and I know what you're capable of with your skill set and what you do. And I was wondering if you'd heard anything or if you had any information to offer.
And
We're looking for the hill giant home of Grudholg.
he
That's
sort
how
of
it is.
turns
That's how
to
it's
his,
said, right, Brad? Grudhold.
Gruthaug.
Grudhaug. That's
Ends
it.
in a
Yeah.
G. Yeah, so he turns to his companion and then like back to you, and he says, I don't really ply in the trade of hunting giants. I'm after a different kind of bounty. Can't really help you there, I'm afraid.
The bet.
Blast. What bounty are you searching for?
And he says, even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. Client confidentiality and all that. But I'm waiting for my next job right now.
Hmm. Interesting. And she says, well, if you're waiting on another job, would you be able to take a contract to help with giants? Would you be willing to?
And he says, I think you misunderstand. I meant I'm here waiting to get in contact with the person for my next job.
Curses. Alright, fine. Well, it was worth a shot. Good seeing you again, I suppose. I will say it's a surprise seeing you this far south.
He says, I go where the work is.
Fair enough. And then I'll leave him alone with Chewie. I'm pretty sure bugbears, like, they speak. What is it?
Wookie?
Common.
They speak,
Yeah, they
the
speak-
goblin,
they-
I think.
They speak Goblinoid, or is it Orcish?
No, I think it's goblin.
Right, they speak Goblin. But fucking hell. I don't think that's the Goblin language. Anyway,
It is
I go
when a
back to
bugbear
my I
is
go back to my
speaking it.
table. Fine. I go back to my table and wait for Lucas to return.
All right. Yeah, so Lucas, you are walking up towards this table. There are a number of individuals here. I will describe them in more detail. So you see there are 6 individuals in total. There is what appears to be this tall, probably like 7 to 8 foot tall, like humanoid figure, like pretty like well built. They have like blue fur sort of like covering their body, and these sort of like long kind of like droopy animal like ears, and this kind of like dog like nose almost, and you would recognize them as a furbolg. They aren't
Okay.
wearing like armor or anything, but they have what look like sort of like iron knuckles, sort of like over their fists. They are currently talking to what appears to be an elven man, but he is his hair is sort of this like auburn, sort of like red. It almost looks like it's sort of has like leaves like mixed in, but like as you like look again, like they're not like really there. And there's
An
this
Eladrin.
yeah, some sort of like Eladrin. He is wielding this like long, sort of like curved 2-handed sword. and wearing kind of like a strange looking kind of like armor that you don't really. It's not like a local kind of like armor that you would expect to see. And they're having a conversation. Across the table from them, there is what appears to be this sort of like black furred tabaxi that sort of is this sort of like looks like a panther almost, who has this like massive sort of like two-handed like greatsword, almost as big as they are. They're not really like wearing armor or anything. They have like a bandolier kind of like strapped across their front and sort of like a leather kilt essentially. They are talking with a dwarf who is sort of like tinkering with this like strange little like device on the table, and has this sort of like mechanical like monkey companion like perched on one of their shoulders. And then the final group of people, there are two what at first look like humans, but on closer inspection, as you look a little bit closer, one of them has this sort of like their hair is almost this like perfect kind of like platinum blonde. Their complexion is like pale, but like pure of imperfection, and they have these sort of like bright blue eyes. They appear to be, some sort of like celestial heritage or something. The other one, in a similar vein, their complexion is sort of like darkened and black almost, but still sort of like within natural kind of like human skin tone. And their eyes are kind of like this like dark like blackish red. And you can see like they also have like a similar quality to the other one, but there's something dark about them.
Okay.
The darker one is wearing like plate mail armor, and he has at his side you see like this barbed whip, and there's like a holy symbol like dangling around his neck, and you recognize it as the holy symbol. What's her name? I can't remember what the what that god's name is. Leviatar. Who is the
What's she the god of?
So she is like an evil goddess of pain and suffering and torture.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Alright. So which one of these friendly folks do I want to talk to?
The dwarf drinker with a monk on his shoulder.
That's what I'm thinking as well. But you said they're all at different tables, but they do look like
No,
they all have the band there together, or is it the same?
They're at one table. They're just sort of like in groups around that table
in different conversations.
Yeah, having like different conversations.
I'll like politely stand off a distance, but close enough to realize like, hey, I'm trying to talk to you guys.
So I think after a few moments of you're kind of like floating there, the sort of like lighter looking Azamar turns to you and says, is there something we can help you with?
Oh god, his voice. This is,
Don't kill him.
Correct. There is. I couldn't help but notice y'all don't seem to be from this town. And I was wondering if you could answer a question for me.
And he sort of like looks around the table and he's like, I don't understand what gave you that idea. Depends on the question, but sure.
It's just some information of the surrounding area. Me and my compatriots, and I nod over at my friends, who
I give him a wave. Hello.
are looking for a settlement of giants that supposedly is around here. It's a settlement called Grudhaug.
And he sort of like looks at you and he's like, strange. Giants aren't much known for settlements in these parts. Can't say we've seen anything of the sort. Been a lot of giants moving around, but not our business.
Could you tell me what you know of these giant movements, perchance?
And, he says,
perhaps I could.
Kind of like leans back. He says, they've been attacking ranches, farms, all along these areas. We've had to deal with some of them, our employers have interests in some of these places that were attacked. We had to make sure that they were protected.
Do they work?
So are you and your compatriots just sell swords around here, or do y'all work with the local guards?
And he sort of says, these guards are small fry. We work for someone much bigger.
Who, if you don't mind me asking? And at this point, like, I would like to wave over the guard, like a barmaid, and I want to buy a round of drinks for the table.
Okay, yeah, sure. You do so. We'll say, like, a copper for each drink, so, like, 7 copper if you're getting one for yourself as well.
Of course. I can't just not drink when I order a round.
Of course. And he says, he sort of like takes the drink, kind of like raises it, takes a small sip, and he says, well, we work for the Zentarum mercenaries.
I know who the Zentarum is, right?
Yeah, you vaguely.
And I know that
know.
they're not always like, the good guy.
Yeah, they're kind of like gray, like sometimes they do good things, sometimes they do bad things. And it's almost like their organization is very like fractured. So like they don't necessarily all like know each other or really they have this sort of like
Splinter factions in them, probably.
splinter cell kind of thing going on, yeah.
Like, what's the Zentarum have you all the way up here for?
And he says, their business interests have been threatened by these giants, so we protect them, scouting the local area, keeping them away.
So the idea of a giant settlement close by might not bode well for your employers.
Yeah, and he sort of like nods and says, "No, it would not. But we're not paid to go track down giants in their homes."
True, but it could pay well.
It could. It could also pay well in death. I am no fool. Giants are not to be underestimated. 1 or 2, it's fine. A few dozen? No, now you're starting to have a problem.
Indeed. Though when we don't look for the settlement ourselves to wipe it out, neither are we that stupid. We are just looking to find it and locate it. Which
And,
that information in itself could pay well, and have a lot less risk of death.
And he says, perhaps. And he kind of like looks at you and he's just like, what's your angle in all this? Why approach us? What do you hope to gain?
Information. You all looked like you all would know a little bit something of the local surroundings. And at this point, I want to pull out my map, kind of deal, and like just fold it out to the sort of area that we're like kind of at. Like, could you perhaps tell me the most concentrated area that y'all have seen these giants at, that y'all have hunted?
And he sort of like gestures to the map, and he says, well, our interests are spread throughout the valley. He says, we've roamed as far north as Red Larch and Belliard, patrolled the roads there, a number of ranches and settlements along the way. Haven't really struck east much.
Hold on, I'm trying to find us on the map right now.
Here.
Oh God, I thought we were so much farther north.
No.
Oh my God.
And he says, From what I hear, they've even been sighted as far north as Tribor, but we haven't gone there. But mostly down here, close by.
Hmm.
Can't
Just kind
say
of look over
I've
them.
noticed a pattern of where they attack more often than any other place.
What
Most
type
of
of
them.
giants?
And he says hill giants mostly. Most of them seem lost, like they don't even know where they are.
Sounds about right for a hill giant.
And he says, we have dealt with one wayward frost giant that was traveling through this area. He looked as though he'd been in a fight already, but was trying to pick on folks smaller than him. Taught him a lesson he'll not soon forget.
Good man. Kind of just like fold back up my map now that I've gotten that information. It's like, thank you. You've been much help, much more than some other people in this town have been. I kind of like whisper at them, or not whisper, but like quietly. I don't for the
Um,
table.
Yeah, he just sort of says, they have their reasons. It's none of your concern.
Hmm. Have their reasons, none of my concerns. So they know. They know. They know.
You should ask them. Ask them.
Kind of like raise my eyebrow up at him at him saying like not my business, And I'm just like, so you know what's up with the guards in this town and why the townsfolk are so afraid all the time?
He just sort of like gives this like kind of like almost like creepy looking smile, this as it like passes over his face, and he says, "Perhaps I do."
Hmm. I'm a man who can't pass up information when it's there to be learned. Perhaps you could help inform me.
Kind of like raises an eyebrow and says,
And I'll barmaid another round of drinks.
and yeah. So as you're doing that, another 7 copper or whatever, and he says, information like this, it's gonna cost more than a few rounds of drinks, my friend.
What are we talking?
And he says, "What's your offer?"
Brad, in my infinite knowledge of the underworld, what's a good starting hand?
I mean, you definitely want to like not insult them with like some stupid offer,
Something
like I'll
too
give you
low.
2 gold or whatever. But
Yeah.
it doesn't. It probably doesn't need to be as exorbitant as like 1,000 gold or something like
Yeah, that's
that.
what I'm thinking as well. Man, sheet's all messed up. I hate it when the sheet gets all weirdly shaped. I'll like reach into my little my bag of infinite money, and I'm gonna pull out about 10 gold.
Okay, so what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull out about 10 gold for starters.
Yeah. So he sort of like looks at it, and he says, He says, "I have expected you would have something more than that. Then what are you looking to buy with that? A pet snake?"
Fair enough. Let me see. That was 10. I'll put another 2 platinum on top of it.
Okay.
Yep.
And he sort of
So
like
you get 30 on the table now.
looks there, and he says, as he kind of like puts a hand over it, he says, well, I'll tell you that the barkeep knows more than he lets on. And the folks he works for aren't exactly the friendliest sort.
Is he working for the same employers that you all work for?
In a matter of speaking, I suppose. Not quite, though.
Well, sir, I must thank you. You've been a big help in helping our endeavors with these giants.
And he says, if it makes our job any easier, then I'm glad to help. These giants have been a pain in the ass.
They have been all around. And I, get up and walk away with my, bit ado.
Alright, yeah, so they go back to their sort of conversation as if nothing had happened.
That was shit info for 30 gold.
I mean, not gonna be when I start fucking interrogating the barkeep.
I guess.
Alright, I'll reconvene at the table. And I will, share my information with my compatriots.
The barkeep, you say?
Indeed. And as you said, they're somewhat working for the same employer. Could be a different splinter faction of the Zentarum, or it could be someone else who has some shady dealings. But something clearly isn't, obviously, there's clearly some dark side of this town.
Yeah, I tried asking the barmaid a little bit again, but she loves her life too much.
Perhaps you should go up one and ask her employer.
Seems you're a little bit better at extracting information than I am.
What do you think of this, Alexei? Oh, James said BRB.
F. Classic.
I look over at Alamir and how important is it that we figure out what's going on in this town?
Probably not very important.
Voice inside my head is like, but you must have a side quest to stall for time.
But I don't know. You just got information about the giants, meaning we have a lead. But I don't know. It always vexes me seeing something fishy going on involving the regular citizens of a town.
Brad, does the barkeep stay in the inn too? Does he have a room?
Presumably he owns the place, so he probably lives here.
I mean, do we want to question the barkeep then? If we do, odds are it's going to alert some people. We were here all last night, I'm assuming. How late were the guards here? Were there what was the guards like? Are there guards in this tavern is what I'm asking.
Not unless they're off duty and here just drinking or whatever. There aren't guards stationed here watching all the time. There is a bouncer to the place that kind of keeps an eye out. This half orc, tall kind of half orc man, who has he only has one arm. It looks like he lost the other arm in an accident. But he's built to intimidate people.
That one arm's really buff.
Yeah, it's really buff. It's as buff as two arms, but it's one.
Very well, Alamir. If we wish to know, then we should talk to the innkeep, though maybe not right away. Perhaps wait till later in the night when things die down and It would be just more of us alone with him.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like we're staying another night.
Indeed. I'll go up to the barkeep and we'll be needing the rooms for another night, and I plop down another 3 gold.
Yeah, he just sort of like nods. Slides the gold off the table. And he says, well, just don't get yourselves in trouble. He says,
Oh, you have no idea.
and he just says,
Oh, we'll try to avoid that, thank you.
and he says, you'd be well to do so. I hate cleaning up messes.
Oh, the fucking veiled threats.
So do I. And I leave.
All right.
All right, we're in the side quest now.
Yeah.
It's there. It's happening.
If only we had more people.
I feel like if Alquil was here, he'd be like, "We're doing this side quest. These people need help."
Yeah. I mean,
We're
I'm
doing it
kind
for
of
him.
the same way, but then again, I don't know, man. If we get caught here, not only the weird mercenaries probably gonna fight us, then we have the entire guard force, and the people aren't going to help us because they're scared. Blah blah blah.
They were gonna help us begin with.
Yeah. All right. Guess
I mean, do you
we'll.
want to chicken out?
No. I stand for what is right. You need to help these poor idiots.
In our wanderings around town yesterday, what you said a lot of the time the guards were guarding buildings, right?
Yeah, they seem to be sort of standing guard outside of certain buildings and the likes. There were some that were patrolling, but a lot
What
of
type
them
of buildings were they standing in front of?
As far as you could tell, they kind of looked like either storefronts or just nondescript warehouses.
Did it seem like there was any one place that had a higher concentration?
There was one building nearby the inn that was a little bit more fortified that had quite a few guards outside.
Was it one of those indescript warehouses?
No, this looks like it serves some other purpose.
What type of purpose?
I mean, you wouldn't know without going up. It could be a barracks, it could be an important city hall kind of location. It's a big fortified building.
Okay. Really better just interrogate this man and figure out what's going on.
We have to be very delicate about this because if things go to shit, we're gonna have a rough time getting out of here.
I look over at Almir, what odds do you think the vampire's involved in this?
I didn't think about that. The fact that they don't care about people passing through getting hurt by him.
People
What
going
if-
missing?
I wonder if they have some kind of deal with him. So long as he gets what he needs, he leaves him alone.
Hell, it might be more than that. All these people going missing, I wouldn't put it past it have be the vampire, perhaps.
Yes, but the fact that they don't bother to secure the roads or some such things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is there something we can do or research while we wait for a more opportune time? I'd like to scout out an area maybe some kind of a that you could use as a hideout, like a place we could go to if shit hit the fan. Maybe.
I mean, just from your like brief walk around town, like there aren't any buildings that like stick out to you as like abandoned or anything that you could like use for that purpose. Like all like the buildings here are all like occupied.
Yeah. Hmm. Any fault in the walls? Anywhere you could like get through, or
No, the walls are actually like incredibly well maintained.
this is going to be difficult. I kind of wanna, before we talk to the barkeep, kind of wanna have some kind of backup plan.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we have all day. So you just want a way to get out, is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
I mean, it seems to be our way of getting out is going to be to run and hightail it out of town.
Well, I've taken a walk around, and it seems like the only way out is through the gate. And did I like when when I was walking around and when we were walking through the town? Were there a lot of guards? Like, does it seem like they have a sizable force?
As far as like what you could see, there wasn't like an absurd number. It definitely was like a higher concentration than you would expect like normally. But it also wasn't like, you know, 4 guards to every person walking around. It wasn't like absurd.
All right. So if, for example, if we were to hightail it, the like straight path out the gate, do I have an estimate of how many people we would have to run through, pretty much?
I mean, it would depend on the route you take, obviously. But I mean, if you were running just down like the main road, you would probably like run into maybe like 20 to 30 guards.
Oh well, please. What's the other people in the party going to do while I kill them? Only 30. All right.
Back.
Fuck you. Let's. I don't know. I'm out of ideas. I guess we can.
Let's like catch up Alexei on what we're doing at least.
Hmm?
We've decided to stay another night.
Why?
Because we want to interrogate a innkeeper.
What?
Were you here for my conversation with the guys?
Drinks.
Yeah, I was talking to them, and I like, you know, I like paid them off to tell me what they knew about like the shady side of this town, and like basically saying like, ask the barkeep, he knows a lot more that's going on, and there is something shady going on in this town.
But I thought we were the none of our business Crusaders.
Alamir's a good guy though, and I'm doing this for Alquil. Alquil would be all over this shit.
Well, to be fair, Alexei would probably also want to be like, no, people are disappearing, we need to help, so I'm down.
But yeah, also like I talked to him about like there's a lot of like kind of like giants like roaming around this area, especially hill giants that are just wandering around seeming lost.
I feel like we need to fake an invasion.
No.
What? No. Oh, Alexa, do you have any magic that could help us escape or hide us if something were to go awry?
I mean, Dimension Door can take me and one other person. I could make someone fly. That'd be about it.
That might actually
You
be
have
enough.
Invisibility, Alexei.
Yeah, I also have invisibility, and at 4th level we can do it to 4 people.
I don't have
or
it prepared.
3 people. Sorry, I do. I can make 3 people invisible.
Right.
For
Okay.
how long?
I think that's enough. Then.
An hour. Which like makes me think. Do we know like figure out where the innkeeper is staying, could sneak into his place and start like rifling through things, see what we can find. I whisper over to Alamir and Alexei as we're all huddled together, whispering very inconspicuously.
Yeah, very inconspicuously.
I rattle my chainmail a bit. I'm not very stealthy that way, so that would be something that you might have to do alone.
I mean, Alexei could do it.
I don't really have
Yes.
anything prepared that could incapacitate him.
The fuck, why are you incapacitating people?
You don't need to incapacitate anyone right now.
We're just gonna sneak into his place and find out what he has. What we can find.
Oh. How
We
could
just
I
gotta figure
sneak
out.
in?
How can you what?
How could I sneak in?
I'm gonna make you invisible, dummy.
Oh. Cool.
God damn it.
I put my sword back in its sheath as I held it over my head, ready to cleave Alexei in two.
The only thing is, like, don't know which room is his. Can I like look? Can I reasonably figure out which room is his, Brad? Or is it like a crapshoot right now?
It would probably take time to like look around and like try to figure it out. If you wanted to, you could make an investigation check over like an hour or two to like see if you can suss it out.
Perhaps our local investigator could do that. Like, Alexei, could you figure out which room is his?
That be investigation, Brad?
He just
Yeah,
fucking
that's
said
what I
it
just
would.
said.
I fucking hate you, James.
I
Hey,
love you
Brad,
too,
can I
Dan.
make an insight check?
I'll actually be right back as well. I gotta pee really badly.
And if so, would that
Fine.
insight check be insight?
No, it would actually be survival.
Oh, okay. I make an attack then.
Okay. That sounds about right. Yeah, so if you want to make, right, a 21. So, yeah, it takes you maybe like an hour and a half or so, sort of like looking around the inn, because you have to be like careful, right? You're like trying to like not, not like make it obvious. So it takes like a lot of like time and kind of like looking around the building and kind of like the outside of it, seeing where, the most likely place would be before you narrow down. It's not with like all the guest rooms or something. It's sort of like in a separate area. You see like a window into a room that seems likely to be where the innkeeper would like probably stay. It's like separated away from all the other guest rooms, and seems to have this sort of like larger kind of like window off to another sort of like side of the establishment.
Okay, so I find it.
You find what would likely be. You don't like unless you like literally walk inside to look. Like you're not gonna know for sure, but you find like what in your eyes is the most likely place for it to be.
Okay, right. Well, fair enough. So I will inform the party of that information once I receive it. And Lucas will stare blankly at me until he returns.
All right. Just yeah. What time of day is it? Still morning or?
Well,
Noon?
you just spent like a couple of hours, so it's probably like just before noon.
All right.
And when's my
Well, I
birthday?
suppose lunch would be, or it would be some kind of food service coming up, so it would have to be busy anyway. So now might be an opportune time to do it.
Yeah. I can imagine we'd probably just like, settle down. Looks like my birthday's on Sunday actually, in a couple weeks.
This is Alexei talking.
No, this is James talking.
This is an
'Cause
incredibly.
I'm trying to think like I don't know. I might be doing something then.
Oh man,
on my birthday.
that's a funny picture.
Anyways,
What
the
picture?
game.
You trying to think?
All right.
Yeah. So what do you guys want to do? What's the
Well,
plan
we'll
here?
basically have to wait for Zach to come back. So,
I
but
mean, I'm sure you can figure something out, right?
Well, I mean, he's got the plan at the moment. You know, he asked me.
No,
Trying to
well,
figure
the
out what
plan is
we're
we
doing.
know the plan.
No, Mike's got a plan.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what's your plan, Mike?
Well, I mean, we're to sneak into his room and investigate, pretty much.
When are we sneaking in at night?
No, now when he's busy.
Oh, okay, perfect.
You two were supposed to go invisible.
All right. Well, I guess Lucas will have to cast it because I don't have it prepared.
Because the plan is we were going to investigate or interrogate him, but we have to do that after the guards fucked off and like the tavern is pretty much going into idle.
Very well. Brad, I make the executive decision that me and Lucas go off to the side somewhere where we can't be seen. He makes us invisible, and then we go to the room.
Very well then. Seeing as that pretty much was the plan. Yeah, so you and Lucas head off into a back alley, and he renders you invisible. Phew. And then he goes,
and then we make
"Now
our
what?"
way to the door.
Well, the door is on like
Well,
the
I'm
top
at-
floor, so you have to move.
To make
through.
our way there.
All right. So you head into the crowded like sort of like tap room, like trying carefully not to like bump into anybody. Just for shits and giggles, can you make a dexterity check for me?
Why are you doing this to me, Brad?
Because I love
Do you hate me?
chaos.
Is that what this is?
I love chaos. All right. So as you're making your way through the tavern, pretty like packed as it is, you like bump into somebody and they turn. Like obviously you're not there, but there's somebody like behind you. And you hear him like shout like, "Oi, watch where you going, you fucker!" And he just like throws a wild haymaker at somebody, and you just like go scurrying off. And all of a sudden, this like fight starts breaking out behind you.
So Alamir,
Sir Alamir, you just see like there's just like all of a sudden somebody turns around, like nothing was going on. Somebody turns around and just like a fight starts breaking out. Immediately like the bouncer is like moving over, like looking like you're not sure if he's going to join or like put a stop to it. And like they're shouting from the innkeeper as well as this like fight breaks out in the tap room.
Okay. I'm letting that play out.
All right. Yeah. So basically, like this big.
I like I like that it's like the most fantasy in ever. Like, why would you instantly swing at someone just because they bumped into you?
Because.
Yeah, because.
So yeah, there's this like big fight that starts going out. Creates this like scene, which allows Alexei and Lucas to like slip through, and kind of like up to the stairs, to the top floor where you saw this sort of like room in the corner, kind of off to itself. So you head all the way down the hallway. And you do see like there's this point in the hallway where there's like door, and then there's just like nothing, and then there's like a door at the end.
Right. Can Lucas pick locks?
I believe that he can attempt to do so.
Well, first of all, actually, check and see if the door is locked.
It is definitely locked.
Okay. I'll leave this to you, Lucas.
Okay,
And then
let's
Lucas
see.
does
Does he
what I
have
say,
it?
which is try and
he-
pick the lock.
Does he have it on his sheet? I don't think that he does. Does he have thieves' tools? That's a good question. Yes, he does. Okay. And is he proficient? He is. Why does he not have it added to it? Never mind. So let's see here.
Let's go.
Oh, hey,
Alright,
look.
You're picking
Cool.
this lock.
All
I
right.
accidentally
you have
started a bar
cast-
fight.
You have cast invisibility. Alexei accidentally started a bar fight as you made your way through. She found a room that basically like seemed likely to be the innkeepers, being sort of like cordoned off from the rest of the area. And so you have now like snuck your way up there invisible, and the door is locked, but not for long.
All right. I'm gonna attempt to pick the lock,
All right, go for it.
which is a /RD20 plus 3 plus my dex, which is 5. 18.
All right. You fiddle around with the lock for a while, and eventually at the very end, you're kind of like messing with the tumblers, and you hear like a click as the symbol lock kind of like opens. Took maybe like 2 minutes or so of work. But the lock
Farfetch's still going on.
Yeah.
Alright. Does it look to be like I'll open it up?
All right. So as you swing open the door, it glides open on the hinges. They seem pretty like well taken care of, and it enters into a room that is quite lavishly appointed. There's like a big sort of like 4-poster like double bed. There's a desk up against the window. This sort of like nice looking sort of like bare fur like carpet rolled along the floor. It looks in all respects to be the sort of like residence of like a noble more so than like a simple like innkeeper.
An innkeep, yeah.
You see there's like this large sort of like walk-in closet to the side that has a number of like fancy looking clothes hung within.
I'm gonna start searching. Like, is there a desk?
There is a desk.
I go there and start rummaging through papers.
Okay.
Just,
So
like,
as you
looking around.
go ahead and make me an investigation check.
This is why fucking bitch should have came with me.
I'm here with you.
Yeah, Alexei is
Oh,
with
are you? Oh, Alexei, make the investigation check. I'll assist.
Call me a bitch. Fuck you, asshole.
I'm sorry, I thought you were out there fighting people in the bar.
No.
Okay.
There.
So looking over the desk, Alexei, what you can tell is that you don't find any signs of like hidden compartments or anything like that. The papers that are on there, there is like nothing written on them. And after like a few minutes of like searching around, it almost looks as though this desk has been put here to look like a desk that would be used for something, but has never been used as far as you could tell.
This desk appears to be a fake. Is there anything? Is there anything else in the room that would indicate this is an actual room?
Yeah,
Or-
there's
Does
like
this
furniture
room
and
look
stuff.
lived in?
As looking around, like the bed is like incredibly well made. Everything is like neat and orderly, exactly where it should be. Almost like suspiciously so.
Yeah. Almost looks like a. Would they have a decoy room? This makes me think of their like, of the table they have reserved out there. Like, does it have already have the plates and everything on it as well?
I mean, there's no like table settings out or anything like that. But
Okay, I
definitely
thought
looks
they
like
had
it's like set for somebody to be here, and there's just nobody. There's no signs that somebody has been here. There would have been like some disturbance to something, unless they're like some sort of obsessive perfectionist.
A decoy.
Let's give it a look around the room, see if we can find anything still.
Would there be like? I guess could I do another check, Brad, to see if I find like any, bookcase doors, like hidden switches, anything
you
like
can make
that?
a perception check if you want to like look around the room. I will say
What's your
that
perception?
investigation probably took like 10 minutes.
My perception's fucking +1, dude.
My perception is +1. I'll assist her with perception.
Okay. Bam.
So as you're like looking around for any sort of like hidden bookcase door or anything like that, you're searching around, and you notice, Alexei, as you're kind of like looking around. We'll say it takes maybe like 20 minutes. So you're about like halfway through your like invisibility spell at this point, searching through this room. You notice that along the ceiling, it has these sort of like wood planks. There is a section maybe about like 10 foot by like 5 foot long where the patterning of the boards is like disrupted, and almost seems to like break kind of like unnaturally along that area.
Lucas, and I point to the stuff.
I guess I see it. Like, I want to pull over a chair and I'm gonna stand on it and I'm gonna start like kind of like pushing at it and like just examining it. Like, is it a door or something that opens up or?
Yeah, so you like pull over a chair, doing your best to kind of like quietly do so, putting it over, climbing on top, and you begin like pushing on this section of the ceiling, and indeed it does seem to like go a little bit, but like as far as like you can't push it up all the way, and you try to kind of like pull on it a little bit, and there's like something in the way. There's some sort of like locking mechanism involved here, but you can't quite like make out where exactly.
Hmm. So I can't disarm it.
You would have to like look, investigate a little bit further to see if you can find where it is.
Like, I have to investigate, Alexei, or you can come up here and try to find the locking mechanism on this thing. Do you think we still have time? Like, no one. I guess no one knows we're in here.
How long did you say we got left on the spell, Brad?
So it's been about half an hour at this point, so you've got about another half an hour.
Okay.
But
I
obviously,
think we got
obviously
time.
investigating something is like a time-consuming thing. Probably
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
If
this
we
is
run
a
out,
mechanical.
I'll do another one. Another.
This
in
is
the
a
invisibility.
mechanical. This is a mechanical thing, right?
Yeah, there's some like he was pushing on this like panel and it was like moving, but not enough to actually like there's something blocking it. It's like some sort of mechanism or something.
Could I apply my Tinker tools to gain some sort of bonus? 'Cause I have Tinker tool proficiency.
You're not
and
like
Tinker tools.
you're not trying to like disable or like mess with the mechanism. You're just trying to find it.
Okay, right. Fair enough. Investigation. Oh, I didn't do that with advantage. There. 26 is the highest.
26? Okay. After about like 10 minutes of searching, you eventually find sort of like tucked away in like up underneath. There's some sort of like latch or something. It doesn't seem to be like particularly complicated from what you could tell. But it isn't simple. Like you can't like your fingers can't get in there and like undo it. You would need like little like tools.
Thieves' tools, which I have. Switch me out, Alexei. I'll try to disable it.
Okay.
Meanwhile, what has happened to the
I could have.
brawl downstairs?
Well, at
Right,
this point,
it's
it's been like half an hour or so. Like the brawl lasted maybe like a few minutes before like settling down. The people involved were kind of like dragged out of the inn and thrown out, by a combination of the bouncer and some guards that were called in to like deal with the situation. And now everything has like returned to normal.
All right.
If anybody has noticed that your friends are like wandering around, there's certainly no signs of it down in the tap room.
All right. I'll just keep sipping a beverage and keep an eye on the bar.
Okay. So Lucas, you climb up to like mess with the mechanism.
Yep, and I rolled my roll.
All right. After a few minutes, you are able to sort of like jimmy your tools in there to like lift the latch up and kind of like pop it open. And as you do that, there's kind of like a little like clicking noise. And suddenly the panel like begins to fall. Can you make a dexterity save for me?
A dex save?
Yes.
11.
All right. So as this suddenly you like realize you're like standing on this chair. You realize that something's like happening. The panel like falls. It hits you on the head, and you like lose your balance. The chair like topples over, and you like slam onto the ground. You don't take any damage or anything, but it was like pretty like loud. And you see the panel swings down, and like a ladder sort of like falls down, leading up into like an attic space.
Oh,
But you made quite a bit of noise.
Alright, very quickly, replace the chair where it goes and usher Alexei up and everything, and we're gonna close it behind us.
Nice. Yep, that sounds good.
All right. So you quickly shimmy the chair over to where it goes, and then Alexei and you like scurry up the ladder, pulling it closed behind you, and you see that you are in some sort of like attic room. There is a like a small storage space or something. Although there is nothing in here that you can see, there is a door that leads to like another section part of this attic. It's like cramped, kind of like the ceiling's not too tall, so you're like just barely able to stand in this like storage space here.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like wait for a moment, trying to be very, very quiet.
Lucas, what are you waiting for?
You can't even see me. Shut up.
That's true. That's true.
I was like, I had to like kind of do it with like quiet.
As you wait a few moments, the both of you notice that this sort of like mist almost seems to like build on the floor of the attic.
Oh,
The vampire lives there. Fuck.
I want to kind of like reach for Alexia. I'm gonna kind of grab her arm and like lean in very close
how?
and whisper.
You're
What do you
invisible.
mean? That's why I said I'm reaching over and like kind of grasping until I find her.
Yes, Lucas?
I'm like, let's just stay close. If something happens, one of us needs to dimension doors back to our room.
Understood.
All right. And then I hear no movement from downstairs, right?
No, you don't hear any like movement from down below.
All right.
But the mist sort of like begins to build, and after like a few moments, you hear this sort of like kind of like it sounds like somebody who just woke up.
Oh, okay. Stay very close, holding her close.
And you don't
Yeah,
see
yeah.
you don't see where the person is. You assume the voice is probably coming from like the other side of the door. You hear the voice go, "What is it? Don't you know what time it is?"
Two-dimension door or not two-dimension door?
No, not yet. We're still invisible.
And then there's like a moment's pause. You don't like say anything, and he says, "Who's there? What is?" And you hear like footsteps on the other side of the door, like approaching towards the door. And he says, "Do you have something for me or not?" And you like hear the like a mechanism on the other side, like locks being undone. What do you do?
Just stay still.
So, would it be
Confirm who it is, and then teleport out.
So I may have to just BRB actually.
No.
I mean, we're almost at end time, anyways.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do the big rank thing.
Food's ready now.
It's like
You can wait 20 minutes.
It's ready right now.
You can wait 20 minutes.
How? It's ready. It's ready right now.
So you just wait and eat it later.
I could try to become somebody and fake who I am, but they know I'm an outsider.
You're invisible.
Yeah, I'm invisible, so I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
you're
wait.
invisible right now.
We're just gonna hold and wait, Brad.
Right.
Yes.
So the door begins to like swing open, and he says,
You have control over my character, Zach. No
deal.
BRB.
that is a mistake. And you hear the voice on the other side. It's like, Alaska, what is the meaning of this? I told you not to wake me in the middle of the day. And as the door opens, you see entering through, although somewhat disheveled, looking like they just woke up, what looks like a sort of like a noble human man with sort of like long, straight blonde hair, these sort of like bright kind of like blue eyes, a very like pale complexion. He's wearing kind of like this white nightshirt almost, and kind of like black silken pants. As he opens the door, sort of like looking around, he kind of like glares around the room, and he says, "What's going on here?" And he begins like sort of like sniffing around. He's like, "I smell somebody. They're here. Who's there?" And he kind of like his brow like furrows back, his nostrils kind of like flare a bit, and you see he like opens his mouth, and there are two like sharp long fangs where his like canine teeth would be.
All right. All right. Smells us. You know what? Now might be a good time to mention door.
And yeah, so he's like looking around. He says, "Two of you, human, elf."
Yep, I'm out.
Yeah, and as he's like looking around, like moving towards where you are, do you cast Dimension Door?
Yeah.
All right. So as you do so, the invisibility kind of fades because you're casting the spell. So you appear momentarily. He like hisses, like lurches for you, and as his like claws are about to like reach and grasp for your throat, suddenly you distort space, disappearing. Where are you Dimension Dooring to?
Back to our room.
Okay. So you disappear. Right as you see this like this man sort of like lunging for you, and then you both appear sort of like in the center of the room, like collapsing to the ground, making a bit of noise as you like arrive in your destination.
Pick her back up. We're gonna go pack our things, and we're gonna go downstairs, and we're gonna get Alamir. And it's like, Alamir? Alamir?
Yes.
We need to leave.
Well, okay. What
Like,
happened?
There's a vampire living upstairs. And he may have got our scent and saw us.
All right.
So, go pack your things. Let's just, unless you want to go fight a vampire who seems to be like the innkeep knows he's here.
I don't want to fight a vampire,
Not
but
particularly.
I also hear Alcohol screaming his face off.
Perhaps we should stop it there.
Yes, I think as you sort of like appear in the room, like running down to Alamir,
I
sort of
don't
like
run,
in a panic.
I make it look kind of, not a panic. No, I'm sorry.
Definitely
I should have
panic.
specified this. I go down, and I'm trying to make it look like me and Alexei just had a good time upstairs. Just to make it look like, yep, that's where we were.
You had a time upstairs.
We had a time upstairs.
Yeah, so as you sort of like reunite with Alamir saying like we gotta go, I think that is where we shall call things for today, and hopefully Thor can be here next session to see just what the fuck has happened. What you guys have gotten into. All right, well, thank you for being here, at any rate, the two of you, and James, I guess, and hopefully next week we'll have more people. And something will get done. But in the meantime, thank you all, and we will see you next week.